no condom.
No condom though.
Fuck a raw dog.
No condom though.
Boom. Episode 39.
You're
about
all
to
I
fucking-
ever wanted. You're all I ever needed.
Yeah. Light.
So tell me what to do now, 'cause
Yo, that was super fire. Like,
Dun, 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 dun.
boom, 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 boom.
Yo, so
Yo, so
No Condom Podcast.
No Condom Podcast, episode 39. And yo, today.
We've been recording since the last episode. We're at 90 minutes. That's cool. I'm rolling with it.
Yeah.
Split it up so like it'd be easier to.
I'll figure that out before I send it to you. I'm cool.
So we restart.
No, we just keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yo, Adam West. Boom,
Adam
boom,
West
boom,
was born
boom.
today. Birthday, September 19th.
Birthday. And yo,
1928, you had Adam West.
yo, where do we rank the West? I think Adam West is ranked higher than
Kanye?
Kanye.
Did you hear Kanye's apology?
No, but
No?
to Adam West.
No, he went on a radio station and
He admitted he's
he went
fucking,
into Chicago and went on like one of the local radio stations and did like a full like hour interview. It was pretty dope actually, and like they asked him all the hard questions and he responded to everything. And he apologized about the slavery comments and stuff. And like one of the co-hosts of the show actually cried. Like she was like really in her feelings about it. She was like, Kanye, do you love me? No, I'm just playing. But no, like it's actually a really good interview. Like
That's dope that he did that.
it's worth watching, man. Like Kanye, I don't know, man. It's like one of those things. Like when it happened, I'm a white dude, so it's almost like I'm not allowed to have this opinion. But we talked about it then. And I was like, I know what Kanye's trying to say. He just executed it horribly.
Yeah.
And he kind of reiterated like what he was trying to say and executed it a little better. And, I've never been one of those people that's like, Kanye's a genius anyways. But like, he's a great artist.
You know what? I almost feel like, can you imagine like, okay, somebody of Kanye's level, he comes from your city in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And Chicago has a lot of like fucking huge problems.
Yeah.
And like he was a very like inspirational person for a time.
Yeah.
So then you see this guy that like it's been an inspiration for you, like in one of the worst areas in the United States. This person's been an inspiration for you, and like all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I support Donald Trump," and like on some shit like that. The whole city ain't feeling.
No, and you know what? I agree, but at the same time, the thing is, like
But
when you
for
really
him to come
listen
back-
to his stance, he's not like, "Yo, I support Donald Trump." He's not like, "Yo, like I think the way he treats colored people and like minorities is correct." His thing is like, "Yo, like, firstly, let me spread off love, because everybody's hating. Like, you can make more power with love than you can with hate. But secondly, his opinion is, another thing is, before we were Democrats, we were Republicans. He says about black people. And people are like, yeah, that's right. So he's like, yeah, all right. So there's another thing. But he's like, thirdly, he's like, it's one of those ego things, you know what I mean? Like Kanye's one of those dudes who's like, yeah, I'm God. Like, I'm the best in the world. Like, that's something he relates to with Trump. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't look at Trump and be like, yo, I love what you're doing with the illegal immigrants and what you're doing with this and that. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like he sits there and he's like supporting the bullshit. What he's saying is like, yo, like, there's a different way of looking at things, and opposed to everybody just like hating and being against each other. He's like, yo, I think we should look at each other like we're all the human race. He's like he basically said, he's like, I understand that black people feel like I stood up for them and I was a voice for them. And he's like, but I think at the end of
Bush
the
don't care about black people.
yeah, exactly, right? But and they said that, but he's like, I think at the end of the day, what we got to look at is the fact that we're all people, like we're all the same race. Like, let's stop looking at separation. Let's start looking at things as a larger picture.
Well,
I just think Kanye doesn't articulate himself properly, and it could be ego, it could be different things. I think like Kanye comes from a good place. He just doesn't know how to execute it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Another thing I want to say on this is, so he went on a Chicago radio station,
Yeah.
and like said like, okay, I apologize for these things. That to me is like him trying to go back to his roots.
Yeah.
Like he could have went anywhere. He could have went to the biggest stations.
Yeah, no,
out
and, like,
there and said these things.
It's
He-
a
he
station
didn't.
that you've never heard of either. Like with
he
all the
didn't.
shit we
He-
watch,
he-
like
he
I
went-
never heard of these people.
I bet you that's a station that he probably used to listen to when he was growing up.
Growing up,
Maybe, yeah.
Station, yeah.
You know?
Well, some of the people
And-
on the
and-
show, like while he was talking to them, like
And
the
that's-
one girl broke down in tears after he was like,
Yeah.
"Yo, I'm sorry if I offended you." He's like, "I'm not trying to like
So are
defend
we
the
getting-
bullshit he's doing."
are
He's
we
like,
getting
"But what I'm
Kanye
trying to
back?
do is, I don't know." The thing is with me, I think Kanye.
Are we getting Kanye back?
See, I think
That-
different
that's a
people
big
hold
move
him
to
to
me.
a different regard.
That's
right?
a big move to me.
Well, to me, I think different people hold him to a different regard, right?
Mm.
And obviously the black community, because he's been very vocal and powerful
Yes.
about the way he speaks about the black community. And even myself, as a white dude, like that's something I've argued with my white friends for years, is like I'm very supportive of the black community. Like I'm one of those dudes who like, you know,
feel that too,
when
yeah.
they say like white dudes
Yeah.
are, I guess, in hip hop, I agree. You know what I mean? Like because I look at it, I see where the struggle is built. I see where the culture comes from. Like I understand what it is. Like Public Enemy is my favorite rap group of all time. I know other dudes who will listen
Even
to that
like,
and be like, "Yo, that's way too black. How do you listen to that?" It's like, but it's the same people that listen to Nas's Untitled album. It's like, if you can't appreciate it, then you probably shouldn't be in hip hop.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, this is built from this. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, it's our due diligence to be a part of it and to look and understand it. But where Kanye is standing now, in my personal opinion, and you know, like I'm not black, so I don't feel a certain, like I think it was stupid the way he worded the shit when he said it earlier. But I was amongst a few other people I know, you know what I mean, like Chris and Mike Stone, and you know, there's a few other people who I know personally who are black that felt the same way I did. Like he was trying to say something different, it was just twisted by the media, right? And in my opinion, you know, I don't think Kanye is necessarily like, yo, Donald Trump's great for black people, nothing like that. But I think he's on this higher wavelength where, like, even I can kind of relate where I'm like, you know, we were talking earlier and I'm like, racism only exists because it's a social structure. You know what I mean? As long as we perpetuate it, it exists. As long as we forget about it, it no longer exists. Like, as long as you compare yourself to other people because of their color, their skin, or their ethnicity, racism exists. But once you put that behind you and you're like, yo, we're all people, it no longer exists. Like, racism is one of those separations, those boxes, those genres that society tries to put you in to pin you up against one another. And I think it's the same thing with the LGBT community, and no disrespect to them, but I think, you know, like, especially when I heard they were trying to cut the buyout, and I'm like the B, right? Like, there was an uprise a little while ago, a few months ago, like, yo, we're cutting out the B, and I'm like, to me, personally, and I know I'll probably catch flack for this, but the B is what everyone is. You have extremists who stand on each end, and yeah, maybe you have women who are more attracted to women, you have guys who are more attracted to guys, but I am pretty sure that every human being on this planet has the capability of being a bisexual. And if that is the case, then I believe that the people who stand on each end firmly are they're extremists, just like the same way that other people are extremists in other situations. And I won't use examples I had because it just sounds bad. But either way, I think that's kind of what's going on with Kanye, is that, you know, because of the way that the African American community has been treated by white America and North America for so long, when you have a voice of power, a voice of reason, you rely on it, you depend on it, you know what I mean? You like, you don't invest yourself in it for no reason. And then when they turn around and do some sideways shit like that, you're like, yo, what the fuck? But media networks are twisting it different ways. And at the end of the day, I think I understand where he's coming from. Like, he's saying, like, yo, we're all people. The sooner we can kill the nonsense where we look at ourselves like we're different, the sooner we can move forward and focus on other problems. Unfortunately, you know, cops are still killing colored kids, stuff like that. So it's not that simple, but the ideology is the correct ideology. Like, it's one of those separation tactics. Like, we look at each other with race and culture. We're all people, man.
Hold on. Another thing I want to bring back is, like, I think he realizes his wrong of, like, how he portrayed things and how the message he put out.
It's just the way it's worded.
Hold on, and like he realized this, but he realized the people that it affected, and like he didn't give a fuck about the mainstream being affected by this. He went to the local radio station. He felt that maybe I led the people that grew up in the same environment as me. I led them the wrong way.
Yeah.
So let's teach them the truth. That's what I feel like, because like a lot
Well,
of
if he
people,
went-
a lot of people say like he's gone to things and like kind of like gone to certain platforms and made like a huge scene about things because promotion of an album and everything like that. And now that his album's passed on, he went to this radio station that like is not even like a top 5.
Like no disrespect, but yeah, they're
Yeah, like,
typically not like anybody. Like you could have went to the
like,
Breakfast
but
Club.
he-
You could have went to.
But he knows that like he probably grew up listening to that station, so he probably knows there's other kids that are.
Yeah, he had personal
yeah, like,
relationships
yeah,
with
and he
people at
knew-
that station.
and
And
like,
Like they were
that-
he
like,
heard. Like I'm
That's
sure
what I
he
respect.
knew.
That's what I respect.
I do too.
If he continues on that road and like kind of like that kind of vibe, I can rock with Kanye again.
and I'm kind of like I sit where Charlemagne sat at a certain point, where is I don't respect fake revolutionary for profit,
Right.
right?
Right.
But I respect where it comes from a part of being genuine, right? And I think Kanye's always had that in him. Like even when he put out the Yeezus album, even if it was a lot about him fighting the fashion industry and shit, like he still went and like played that shit randomly on the Alamo and like different like political and like historical spots of like basically like economical like treasures. He went around the globe and posted that shit on those things. And though the message may not have been received to match, where it was laid, I just think like that is something respectful, man.